This show contains spoilers and adult language. Listener discretion is advised.
Movies with Ron, movies with Ron.
Hell yeah, motherfucker.
Movies with Ron.
Hey, y'all know when you're taking a shower and you fart and it's like 100 times more smelly?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, this morning, I was the prince of the land of stench. Welcome to episode 124 of Movies with Ron, the podcast where my older brother recaps a movie from beginning to end for me and you, because we like his versions better. It's okay if you've seen the movie or not. The experience is unique, so let's get it on. I'm Chris, your MC for the time being. Here with me tonight, Nurse Candy.
Hey, everybody.
My lover, Megan.
Hello.
And here he is, folks.
He's the ball cracker, death on foot. You know him, you love him. He's Ron.
Ron.
Hey, Ron.
Hey guys, Candy, Chris's lover Megan, and hello listeners. Welcome to episode 124.
And say hi to Mikey Basso. He liked the Facebook page.
Mikey Basso, welcome to the show, buddy.
Fuck, Larry Cohen died. Who knows who Larry Cohen is?
From the law firm Barnes and Cohen.
Hell Up in Harlem.
Yeah.
It's Alive.
Oh, yeah.
God Told Me To. Q. Women of San Quentin. The Stuff.
Oh yeah.
Bestseller. I just saw that recently. James Woods, Brian Dennehy. Maniac Cop. You know, the movie with
Hell yeah.
the Maniac Cop. His most recent was Phone Booth.
He made that?
Yeah, with Colin Farrell.
Wow.
He wrote it.
Oh.
He's just a fantastic writer. So rest in peace, Larry Cohen.
See you, Larry.
All right, Pet Sematary. Who saw it?
Nope.
Anybody?
I don't watch movies anymore.
Yeah. Me and Megan went to see it. What'd you think, Megan?
I liked it a lot. I thought the big spoilery change that they made was decent because little girl being creepy killer was a little bit more creepy than the baby because she was pissed off because she knew and understood what had happened to her.
Yeah.
Oh.
The thing is, though, I think it's a movie that requires reading the book or seeing the original movie to really enjoy.
Yeah.
I've never seen a movie that required that specifically.
Was Zelda in it?
Yeah, what about Zelda?
Not as scary as the original. They did some CGI shit with her bones, though. Mm-hmm. At one point, she falls down the elevator you put meals on.
A dumbwaiter.
She falls down the dumbwaiter.
Oh my god, that's horrible.
Yeah.
It looked like yoga gone wrong.
I don't know why the wife gets haunted in that story, though. Stephen King was like, well, I gotta give this character something to be afraid of.
Right.
What about Us?
I didn't get to see it, but I really wanted to.
It's pretty good.
Is it better than Pet Sematary?
Yeah.
Was it better than Get Out?
No.
Well, then forget it.
The problem with Us was the mythology of the bad doubles. Mm-hmm. You know, there isn't a clear set of rules that they follow. Isn't that what you want in your horror movie?
Yeah, that's what I want.
The main characters have to figure out what the rules are regarding the bad guys, and that's how they solve the problem.
What are the rules?
You know what movie has a good mythology, though? Lair, the White Worm.
Hell yeah, baby.
From 1988. It's a Ken Russell film. Ken Russell used to be a ballet dancer. Based on a story by Bram Stoker.
Who was also a belly dancer.
Who's Bram Stoker?
He wrote Dracula.
The Dracula man.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Dracula's the most performed character in the history of cinema. And Lair of the White Worm is his other story.
Yeah.
And Hugh Grant is in it.
Man, I love Hugh Grant in this movie. This is probably, by far, his best movie.
I love you, Hugh Grant. I'm glad I saw him on the cast list.
Back in better times for Hugh Grant. He is embarrassed by this movie. He doesn't like to talk about it.
Really?
Yeah, because it's like seen as kind of a B movie, and he's, some Howard Zahn Golden Boy type actor.
Well, Hugh Grant was arrested in Los Angeles, California for lewd conduct after police checked on a suspicious parked car and found him with Divine Brown,
Divine Brown.
a prostitute, in the front seat.
I wish I was there. Divine Brown.
The thing is, the situation worked out for both of them.
Yes, it did.
So I don't think Hugh Grant got even more famous because he went on the Tonight Show and Jay Leno pretty much gave him a pardon.
Yeah.
By saying, "What the hell were you thinking?" And Divine Brown never got any more money at that time in her life doing interviews.
That's right. She became a millionaire instantly.
Yeah.
If you look her up now, she's just a mom.
She had children.
Yeah.
And she was like, I got to put my kids in private school.
Yeah.
After all that happened.
Oh, wow.
An interviewer was asking her, so, have you ever spoken with Hugh, ever since? She's like, no, we never talked again. But, I know he lost Elizabeth Hurley, over it. But, if he's sad, I bet I could cheer him up.
She'd be the perfect guest for this show.
Yeah.
What about Peter Capaldi? Later on became Doctor Who.
Doctor Who.
Oh,
Yeah.
And he is so young in this movie. It's weird. I don't know a whole lot about him, but I have a feeling he's the man.
What about Amanda Donahoe?
Never seen her in anything else.
Oh, yes, you have, because she's the I've had better lady.
That's right.
From Liar, Liar.
I've had better. That's right.
She dated Adam Ant and punched out a crazy fan that pulled a knife on him.
Whoa.
Nice.
Yeah. And to round out the cast, we have Catherine Oxenberg, who pretty much did soap operas and straight-to-video movies. I wrote this down, straight-to-video. People under the age of 20 don't know what that means.
That's right.
What's it mean, Candy?
It means that the movie was so bad it skipped the box office altogether.
Yeah, back in the day, we didn't have the streaming sites. We didn't have all those outlets. You either went to the theater because your movie was good, or it just kind of didn't really work out. They just released it on videotape.
To try to salvage what they could from rentals and stuff.
That's right.
These days, you can see Catherine in Starship Troopers 3, and... all right, listen to this shit. There's a movie called Sharktopus versus Whale Wolf.
Wow.
Lair of the White Worm, though. Roger Ebert said, "It gives you your money's worth. Tame and civilized in an era of slasher movies." This was 1988.
That's right.
Fucking Jason Takes Manhattan and shit. Mm-hmm. Lair of the White Worm came out. It was classy.
It has class. That's right.
It does?
And a lot of tits.
Well, it's a couple of tits.
According to IMDb, the violence and gore is a moderate, while the sex and nudity is severe.
All I can remember is a lot of phallic imagery in this movie.
What else do you need?
So I expect a straightforward recap, Ron.
You're going to get one.
More than anything in the world, Ron.
This movie also has the fat, squinky-eyed Rancor Keeper from Return of the Jedi. Remember that guy?
Oh, I love him.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorite actors. You remember him with his shirt off? Crying.
I do, yeah.
Crying. The Rancor died. And he's got one squinky eye. Turns out it's a glass eye. And he grew up and he did other things too, but that's who he is. He's the Rancor Keeper.
All right, Ron, so this is your movie. I've heard you talk about this movie for years. When did you first see it? What's your story about it?
Candy showed it to me at some point when we were kids. She was like, "Look, this lady has a mean, sharp strap on." And I was like, "Well, let me just see here." And it was love at first sight. Candy forgot about it and moved on. And I've got it tattooed on my back. Divine Brown was like, Hugh Grant kept calling me Cherry Red. He was like, I'm going to call you Cherry Red. Yes. because I had red lips and a red dress. He liked my feet, too. I think he got a thing for feet. I told him I'd give him a blowjob for $50. And he said, okay.
I don't like the Divine Brown story.
Why?
It sullied Hugh Grant. No matter what anybody says, that sullied Hugh Grant.
Oh, it certainly did.
He was
after that,
perfection before that happened.
He was the golden boy. And after that, now he plays like
smarmy assholes.
Smarmy asshole, that's right. And he looks back on his Divine Brown encounter like, well, I did it. I survived it. I survived. I got through it. And I'll tell you what, in today's world, where you hear about, like, Kevin Spacey's stuff, you know, you're like, God damn it, I miss Hugh Grant and Divine Brown.
All right, folks. Put on your kilts and pull out those strap-ons, because we're going to the lair of the white worm on Movies with Ron.
It's showtime.
Pack your bags. So it starts off with just a shot of this creepy cave off in the mountains there in England.
Ooh.
And it's like 20 minutes of this cave. But immediately, Lair of the White Worm. And then a young, pale and pasty, virginal Peter Capaldi holds up this giant animal skull that he's just dug out of the ground. And he yells out, "Yeehaw!"
It's like the opening of Jurassic Park.
And Peter is playing a character named Angus Flint. It's then that we meet Eve and Mary Butson. That's their last name. What's all that yelling? Angus, you think he found a missing link or something? Eve and Mary are running a bed and breakfast at an old sausage factory called Butts and Wieners. Sausage farm. Where they farm sausage. They'll talk about how it looks like a dinosaur. It is a dinosaur, I think. Fuck off. They don't believe him. It looks like Bessie the cow. Oh, my spotted dick. The girl runs inside because she's, got one in the oven. I don't know how you cook those. I've laughed at them plenty of times, but I don't know how to cook them.
She's got a spotted dick in her oven.
By the way, I lost a long-time listener for being too crude.
Oh.
Really?
Yep.
At work?
Yeah.
Oh. Who?
Fucking Josh. Yeah. How you like that shit?
It was that Dolph Lundgren becoming part of the Chiefs family.
Maybe.
That was what turned him away.
He stopped somewhere in the middle of Total Recall.
Oh.
What?
I don't know why.
Total Recall was great.
It was great. How about how much Brian loved Labyrinth?
Yeah, he called that the best episode ever.
I know.
You're a big Labyrinth fan, Megan. What'd you think?
I liked it a lot. I didn't even notice that shit with David Bowie and her mom and the photos in the beginning.
Right? Changes everything.
Yes.
So they take the skull and they wash it off. There's a little jump imagery going on where they turn the hose on. It's a white hose and it jerks when you turn it on.
Oh.
Like Chris's. And also mine. She's like, well, if it ain't a cow, I bet it's not a dinosaur either. Because he's an amateur archaeologist or a student one, whatever the fuck you call it, intern. I don't know.
Yeah.
And he's only like a couple of feet in the ground. He's like, yeah, can't be a dinosaur. And then he shows her the rock level at which he found it. He's like, it's only 1,000 years old. You see this level of flint in the ground? That's only 1,000 years old. And there was also an old convent built on this site back when the Doomsday Book was written. She's like, oh yeah, 1086. You guys know what the Doomsday Book is?
No.
All four of our fans probably do. It was like a big famous survey of England. So I'd say the skull dates from Roman times. because it's nearly twice as deep. And I found it with these old Roman coins. And he shows them to her. See, that's Marcus Carusius. He ruled here. And the Romans didn't keep pet dinosaurs, I take it. No, they missed each other by about 65 million years. Then what is it? I don't know. I guess I'll find out when I excavate further. Tomorrow. We've got a party tonight. Party? No one's invited me to a party. Well, no, but the truck's fucked up, so we need a ride. What about supper? Oh, you'll get plenty to eat at the party. All the rest of our guests are going to take potluck down at the pub. Me and Eve promised them each a hot water bottle when we get back.
What?
And
Me and Eve promised a bottle.
did you not understand?
Understood it.
You sound too genuine.
It's fantastic, really.
If you watch this movie and you listen to her talk, you'll be like, oh yeah, man, that's what Ron should do. Oh yeah, this is how she talks. Me and Eve promised them each a hot water bottle when we get back. You might get one too if you play your cards right. And he like brushes the skull off. He's like, come on, Dinah. You're going to make history. And then it just cuts to the party.
Hey, all right. Potluck, motherfuckers.
Potluck is at the pub. Party is at Dampton Manor. And this is when in the film we get the catchiest, most awesome Scottish rock song that's telling all about the local legend of the Dampton Worm. 1, 2, 3, 4. John Dampton went a-fishing once, a-fishing in the weir. He thought looked mighty queer. What kind of fish it was, John Dampton couldn't tell. But he didn't like the look of it, so he threw it down a well.
That's horrible.
Do you want to try it again? Just play Jock Jam.
Hey-o, the party. Yeah, Shirley Manor.
Oh, yeah. Dampton Hall.
Oh, there you go.
Shirley Manor. And through this song, we get all that exposition. It's beautifully done, and you will sing it the rest of your days. You see this movie. So, a long time ago, there was this guy named John Dampton, who was like a lord or something. Mm-hmm. And he caught this weird fish on a hook, and he didn't like it. He threw it down a well. And then it grew into a giant white worm.
Wow.
And it started killing cows and sheep and children. And this huge party full of people is loving this song. They're all clapping and dancing. And as the guy's singing about John Dampton going and slaying this giant worm, he cut it in half, right? We see Hugh Grant. And he's playing the part of John Dampton. So while they're playing this song, this giant, like, papier-mâché worm comes out onto the dance floor, and he, like, holds up a sword and then ceremoniously cuts it in two. Yes. Yes. And he's, like, smiling like a dog. And it turns out that Hugh Grant is the real John Dampton. He's the descendant of the guy who killed this legendary worm.
Oh.
Yeah.
So drink the health of brave Sir John, who kept the babes from harm, and had Divine Brown go double down on his famous Dampton worm. Yeah, good job, guys. Anyway, then we see Angus and Mary and Eve and Hugh Grant. Woo, they're all done dancing. It's so much fun. And they go to the grossest buffet ever. It's like full of all this slimy crap. And an interesting thing happens. Before they walk into frame, there is a man sitting there drinking a glass of champagne, and then he puts it in his jacket and walks away. And I feel like that's a thing. Do you know why someone would do that?
To be discreet about your drinking?
I mean, if it's a really nice champagne flute, then hell yeah, steal it.
Turns out later he's the butler. I don't know if that's a Because when I tried Googling it.
So he doesn't want people knowing he's drinking.
That's
I
right.
guess. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm stupid. Googled it for 3 days. Couldn't figure it out. But I bought all of these wine glass koozies, you guys. Angus is like, why all the fuss over a moldy worm? Moldy nothing, he's our local hero. You never heard the legend of the Dampton worm? And Hugh Grant's like, yes, and brave Sir John Dampton, yes. Can't say I have. He's an outcomer. He's staying with us at the inn as a paying guest. Well, my boy, welcome to Dampton Hall, yes. I'm James Dampton. Oh, the Dampton worm! Well, yes, I'm connected. It was my brave ancestor, slew the worm. And for centuries, we've immortalized the occasion with an annual banquet for the locals, yes. This is my first year as lord of the manor, as it were. And I thought we'd hit the worm with a little rural rock. I hate the word rural. I can't do it. Can't say it right.
Rural.
Right? He's like, rural. A little rural rock. $50. 50 American dollars? No fucking monopoly money, motherfucker. Yes, okay. I'm going to pay you 50 American dollars. I'm going to call you Cherry Red. Turn around and give me that horse. And then Hugh Grant's like, are you really digging up my farmyard? Yours? Yes, well, the Butts and girls are my tenants. Yes, I own Butts and Wieners. I'm sorry, I don't give a damn. Have fun. Digging in cow dung, yes, I suppose that's fun. Well, it's the site of an old convent. Good Lord, whatever next. Oh, yeah. Well, I think I might have found your worm, or its ancestor. I unearthed a skull on the site. So you're really an archaeologist, yes? I'm a student. And at this point, Hugh Grant starts filling Angus's plate with all of this red stringy shit. It looks like he's eating licorice, or like red licorice whips for dinner,
Yeah. Those are the best.
Yeah, Angus starts wolfing that shit down. And you found our worm. It's closer to a T-Rex, I'd imagine. Well, you mustn't take the word worm too literally, yes. Originally, virm, meaning dragon or snake. That was the Anglo-Saxon term. No, the common earthworm wasn't always the lonely creature it is today. Do you want some more? Oh, yeah. It's very tasty. It's like, oh, good. You've taken to our local speciality. Pickled earthworms in aspic isn't to everyone's taste.
Ew.
Oh.
He is feeding this young guy earthworms.
Hey, if they're good.
And they are. And Mary's like, cheer up, Angus. We're going home. And it just cuts to Angus and Mary walking through the dark forest alone. Well, not alone, together. But she's sad because this is where her parents mysteriously disappeared 6 months ago.
Oh.
So that's the thing. Like no trace, no struggle. They were just gone. And now you're both running the guest house. Till something better comes along. Looks like something has for Eve. Oh, do you mean Hugh Grant? Yeah. He was kind to us when we were orphaned. Yeah, orphaned. And then Angus is like, was there no one else to help? No, I don't have a boyfriend, if that's what you mean. And it's like, I was like, is that what he meant? I guess so. He killed himself on a motorbike. And I'm like, Jesus, Mary. Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. Death and tragedy follows these two girls. Anyway, Angus kisses her, and he has worm breath.
Ew.
But you roll the dice, you take what you get when you're kissing a Scot, am I right? Am I right, lads? You know who you are. And then a car approaches in the darkness. It's a Jaguar. And it pulls into a deserted mansion, and Mary gets scared. They leave, and Angus huffs because the car fucked his shit up.
Yeah.
He was just starting to get it on. They walk back into the inn, and in the kitchen is a fat fucking cop with a wonky glass eye, sitting there drinking a cup of tea and crying for his rancor. Hello, Mary. Annie! And he's all glary and creepy looking at her, but that might just be the eye. And he's like, here, somebody found this. Oh my God, she starts crying. It's me dad's watch. It was found in Stone Rick Cavern with nothing else. Is there any hope? We're resuming the search in the morning. I'm going with you. Right. I'll be off. Thanks, Annie. Oh, and I saw a strange car in the grove near Temple House. Oh, yay. Great. It's like fucking 3 a.m. I guess I have to go check that out. Thanks. So Angus and Mary end the night with her in tears. And that's also what you get when you're kissing a Scot, eh? Anyway, Ernie the cop goes to the dark mansion. He creeps around, sees someone come out, and then he tries to radio his one cop employee for help, who is played over the radio by the director of the movie. And then, oh my God! He gets bit by something. You don't see it. And then immediately, this lady walks around the tree. She's like, can I help you? And it's Lady Sylvia Marsh. Amanda Donahoe, I've had better. Oh, your ladyship, I've been stung by a snake. And she's like, snakes bite, bees sting. Anyway, not this time of year. It's probably a nettle. Come inside and I'll have a look. And then it just cuts to him sitting in her living room like, looking off to the side while she is sucking his leg.
Oh.
I took a screenshot of this part. And
She reminded me of my mother, all right, no doubt about it.
That's right. I always watch movies with captions, and when I just happened to take a screenshot of this, and it just says, sucking. Anyway, she's like, there you go. Now, if what we saw in the adventure movies is true, then you should just have a headache. So it was a snake bite, then? You need another brandy. Thanks, your ladyship. So why are you playing Peeping Tom on my property? I thought you were being burgled in a strange car. My dear man, I change my car as regularly as a snake sheds its skin. So who reported me? Mary Butson. Didn't her parents vanish there in the grove? I'm surprised she'd ever dare set foot there. She had a Scots lad for company. And he says it like, ew.
Oh.
She's like, really? Really? They're joining the search party in the morning. We found Dr. Joseph Butson's watch. And was he on the end of the chain? Then it just cuts to the Jaguar pulling up at Butson Wieners the next day. Everybody's gone. Lady Sylvia sneaks into the house and is just like, up to no good? Mm-hmm. She's looking around for shit. She sees the watch. She puts it down. Then goes up to Angus's room and finds the skull. And she like falls to her knees and is like running her hands all over it. It's kind of sexual, you know, and she steals it. It's huge too. She's got to like, carry it down the stairs. She's walking out and she passes a crucifix on the wall. At that point she stops, turns her head, and she has snake eyes, yellow snake eyes, and big huge fangs. And she's just like, and spits all this brown shit all over the crucifix. Oh. Like making brown. Divine brown. She's a snake lady.
Yeah.
Oh.
And she just spit venom on the crucifix, right? She hates it. And up until now, it's like, hey, fun rock song, you know, Scottish guy, English people, Hugh Grant, and then that. And it's like, holy shit! So she takes it and leaves and passes Hugh Grant and Eve in his posh car, pulling up at home at Butson Wieners. He's taking her home. Mm-hmm. She goes in while he goes to look at Angus's dig site. She's in the kitchen, like, making tea. She sees the watch and reads the note that they went to the search party. Mm-hmm. I love a good search party. Private justice.
That's right.
He walks in, he's like, well, I love Mr. Flint's hole. It's rather fascinating. They found a dad's watch in Stone Rick Cavern. Well, do you want to ride? No. Okay, then. Well, take care. I'll call you later. He's walking out. She sees the venom on the crucifix and just touches it, and then boom! She gets a vision. Oh, and this is what they're talking about when they're like, oh, the sex and nudity is extreme. Because in this vision, you got like 7 or 8 nuns praying to Christ on the cross, who has no beard, by the way, in this version. And this is all shot with like old school chroma key, so there's like fire behind them, but it's not really there.
Yeah.
And then there is this huge bloody-mouthed white snake worm wrapped around the cross, and it's like roaring at her. And, she is actually one of the nuns. She's taking part in her own vision.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Then you see Lady Sylvia, but now she has blue skin and snake eyes and fangs. She's topless.
All right.
With small boobs. Like a 12-year-old boy. And she's like shrieking at Eve. And then all these Roman soldiers run in and rape all the nuns.
Oh.
Woof.
Woof.
It's hot. One of them starts raping Eve. No, it's not hot. It's horrible. And then the worm starts biting Christ's arm, and he's screaming. And it's like, Jesus Christ. Lady Sylvia the whole time is just like, la, 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 flicking her tongue out at all the rape. And the worm's roaring. And then Eve wakes up. Hugh Grant heard her scream and came back in. She's like, Dionin. He's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Eve, what happened? What happened? Anyway, she's freaked. She blacked out, and he pours her some tea. Now, what happened up there? Yes. Well, I saw some stuff. He's like, yes, well, that's all. Try a little harder. Yeah. Well, I was looking at my father's watch. He looks at it, and now the hands on the watch are they're snakes. And he's like, it wasn't like that just now. She sees that, and she's like, I remember now! A serpent, a horrible thing, towering over me on a crucifix. And then he goes, was it white? Like the one in the yard? And she's like, what? Just relax. Was it like the one in the excavation? There's no snake there. What do you mean? Okay, come with me. Yes. Cuts to the dig site, and yeah, there's a big mosaic of a white snake wrapped around a cross. White snake. Was it like that? And she's like, holy shit, yes! He must have uncovered it this morning. Hey, where's the skull? I want to see that. It's in his room. So now they're in Angus's room just like, fucking tossing it! When Angus and Mary come home, and Mary is like offended for Angus that they're just treating his shit like shit.
Yeah.
She's like, spring cleaning! Oh, there you are. Yes. Well, where's the skull? I left it on the desk. Yes, well, Eve's had a bad trip. She'll tell you about it. But, give us some time. I'm leaving. I'll be back later. Aren't you gonna ask how we got on with the search? I can tell from your faces. Yeah. So they didn't find their parents. Hugh leaves. It is raining, and he blows right by a hitchhiker that's like a young kid scout. It's like a teenage boy. But Lady Sylvia stops for him. And he's like, oi, could you drop me off at the youth hostel? Or are you broken down? It's like, no, I'm snake watching. Here, get in. In the car, her dress has ridden up, and he can see her.
Nice beaver.
Yep. Her beaver. And her garters and exposed. Anyway, he's a teenager, so it's like. She's like playing all this loud music. Do you like the music? I'm not really into it, banging. And she's just like, Are you into any sort of banging?
Fuck yeah.
And he goes, I'm not bad on a mouth organ. And she's like, you're so cute. Here, you'll catch your death of cold. Why don't you come to my house? It'll be getting dark soon. What do you imagine a young, strong lad like you, afraid of the dark? No, I just don't want to be late for me dinner at the youth horse stool. She's like, don't worry. You'll leave me well satisfied. And it's like, all right, kid.
Yeah.
You just won the lottery of life. And he like, doesn't get it. At her place, they're laying in front of the fire in robes. His is big and fluffy. Hers is sheer and black. And open to black bra, black panties, and, oh my God, all the way up to the vagina hooker boots.
Jeez.
Pretty cool stuff. If you like that sort of thing. And they're playing Snakes and Ladders. You guys played that game? It's fun. On the board, you know, there's a whole bunch. Okay, it's a board, right? With snakes and ladders. And you roll the dice, you move around the shit. You climb up the ladders, you slither down the snakes. It's a thing.
Yeah.
One of the snakes is big and white. I'm hungry. Me too. Dinner won't be long. Meantime, let's have some music, eh? She gets up, goes to the CD player, and his name is Kevin, by the way. His friends call him Kev. He starts playing a harmonica. Like, that's what you do when people ask for music, right? As she drops the CD and starts the Virgin's Dance of Seduction. Like, he's charming her. Remember,
That's right.
He doesn't know this, but she's a snake lady.
Oh, wow.
So she's like, sexy fucking dancing. And she's like coming to him and like getting all sexified up onto him. And that makes him like, oh God, stop playing the harmonica. And then she snatches it. That's enough of that, Kevin. That sort of music freaks me out. And then she puts the harmonica on the mantle right behind this big, weird, sharp, phallic horn that she has on display there. Now then, a nice bath for you, and then dinner. And after that, the experience of a lifetime. I can forget the hostel then. Of course. I wouldn't dream of letting you go now. They're not expecting you, are they? No. And then she kisses him, and she's like, it's just a little preview of things to come. Now, come on, bath time. And it cuts to her bathing him. And she lives in a mansion, so it's like Eddie Murphy in the hot tub in fucking Trading Places for the first time, remember? He's in the tub. She's laying there in all of that lingerie, and he is still just like a big sheepish wanker about it. He's like, nervous. I don't know what to do. She's like, stand up. He's like, okay. And he does, my, you are a fine growing boy. And then her head goes down out of frame. And then it comes back up with fangs, and then she bites him in the dick.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, and he's like, "Ugh!" And then he starts shaking and shivering and slumps back down into the bath. She's like, don't bother. You're paralyzed now. So now he's all pale, just shaking in the bath. She's like, my God, Kevin, you do have appalling B.O. And he's like, okay, save your breath. You've halitosis too. It's no use. You're paralyzed like a vegetable. Metaphorically speaking, of course. The god is not a vegetarian. To die so that the god may live is a privilege, Kevin. And if you know your history, you know human sacrifice. And she picks up the skull and holds it up. Is as old as Dionin himself, whose every death is a rebirth into a god ever mightier. Bing bong! The doorbell rings. Shit. I should have turned the lights off. I'll have to take precautions, Kevin. I'm actually doing you a favor. And then she just pushes his head down like Santa in A Christmas Story. And he goes under the water. He died under a hooker boot.
Oh.
That's how I want to go. Anyway, she goes to answer the door, and it's Hugh Grant. And remember, his job is being rich. He's the lord of the manor, okay?
Yeah.
But he is dressed in like his royalty uniform. Like it looks like an Air Force uniform.
Mm-hmm.
It may be that, in fact, but it is never mentioned that he's actually in the services. Forgive me. I hear you're having trouble with a snake, yes. You from the council? No, I've just seen Ernie's ankle. I'm your neighbor, Hugh Grant. You know, John Dampton. Yes. She's like, and you're going to uphold the family tradition and slay the beastie? How romantic. Yes, yeah. Well, I was thinking I would send my man round to cut the grass and scotch the fellow, yes. Splendid. And talking of scotch, would you like a drink? Oh, yes, thank you. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm Sylvia Marsh. And I'm Hugh Grant. Yes. You know, Divine Brown, yes. So now we get the two Richies in town talking about rich people stuff.
Yeah.
Like only they can be friends. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
He sees the snakes and ladders and he's like, do you have children? No, I play myself at snakes and ladders. Playing with oneself can't be much fun. She's like, fancy a game? No. I've had enough snakes for one day. Poor old Ernie. How is he? Oh, fit as a fiddle, thanks to you. Yeah. Oh, it was just a little love bite. How'd things go with the Butson search? No good. Oh, those poor girls. She starts to cry. He goes to comfort her. They only just met, so it is a little weird. But they hold each other. And it is tender. And thus far, Hugh Grant has been absolutely hinted that he's trying to get things going with Eve.
Right.
And in the presence of Lady Sylvia Marsh, he drops Eve like a hot fucking potato. He's like, I don't want you and your wiener money. Sausage money. Lady Sylvia's like, oh yes, you know, Ernest's bite and the party with the Dampton worm. It's all too much for me. You see, I'm terrified of snakes. I was bitten as a girl and I was in a coma for like, I don't know, you know, like a year. Something. And he's like, then why do you torture yourself playing snakes and ladders? Well, it's a terrible fear and a morbid fascination. It's a silly game. I'm just deceiving myself. And then she burns it. And as she throws it into the fire, she's like, Rosebud. And he's like, what? Nothing. I'm tired. May I see you again? She's like, yes. I'd like that very much. He leaves, and it cuts to him at home, bare-chested on the phone with Mary. Eve's okay. All right, good night. On TV, he's watching an old silent film that is about a huge caterpillar transforming into a lady butterfly. So then he goes to his big gay canopy bed in his silk sheets and tries to go to sleep. While he's doing that, he's like looking around his rich room. He's got all kinds of cool shit in there. Like there's like a drum set. And he's got a painting on the wall of Sir John Dampton slaying the worm in front of its lair, you know, the cave. Mm-hmm. And in front of the painting is like, I guess the sword that was used to do it. You know, it's like still in the family.
Wow.
Oh.
And then he goes to sleep and dreams. And it just shows the painting and the cave in the painting. And then Hugh Grant just walks into the painting. Mm-hmm. And he goes into the cave and it's all dark. Inside the cave is a Concorde jet. He's in his uniform again, and he boards it. The stewardess is Lady Sylvia Marsh, and she has a miniskirt on, and you see her stockings and garters, so it's a little sexy. So he sits down in the private plane, and another stewardess, who is Eve, walks up and gives him a newspaper. He starts doing the crossword, and it turns out that it's all in the shape of a snake wrapped around a cross. And Mary is there, too. She's the other stewardess doing the demo with the fucking face masks, you know, that you get on planes. And Lady Sylvia has their parents there tied up in chairs, and she's, like, feeding them drinks of absinthe. And all of a sudden, Hugh Grant is also restrained, and he starts freaking out. And then Eve tries to help him, and Lady Sylvia Marsh doesn't like that. Remember, they're in stewardess outfits with, like, sexy garter belts on and stuff.
Right.
And they start rolling around on the ground fighting.
Hey, all right.
Yeah, they're, like, wrapping each other's legs around each other's faces and stuff. And they're just, like, wrestling. And Hugh Grant is just sitting there, tied up in his chair, watching it. And he's still holding the pen from the crossword puzzle. And it shows the pen, and it just starts rising upward. No shit, that is in this movie. And it, like, keeps getting higher as the fight gets sexier. Hugh Grant, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
It shows the Butson dad. He gets up, he checks his watch, and walks out of the plane. And then Hugh Grant, he stands up. He's able to stand up again. And now on either side of the plane, there's sexy legs sticking out from doors, and they're both, like, trying to entice him. And you're like, oh, wow, whose leg is whose? And he's just like, I don't care. And he leaves the plane. He gets off the plane, and in the cave, he finds the watch. And he's like, And then he wakes up because the butler is there with breakfast and a newspaper. Okay. And in the paper is a photo of Mary and Angus and a whole bunch of spelunkers in front of the cave in town, the Stone Rick Cavern.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, search called off, they didn't find anybody. But he's looking at the cave in the background. Stone Rick Cavern looks exactly like the lair of the worm in the painting. And he's like, Peters, what do you make of that? Well, my lord, the legend says Stone Rick Cavern was the lair of the Dampton worm. Well, that's news to me. Draw me a bath, bastard. And he's like, yes, my lord. It cuts to him, Angus, and the Butson girls at the cavern, Stone Rick Cavern. And they're all, like, duded up in spelunking outfits with helmets and lights. Mm-hmm. Why are we here? Oh, this is where they found your father's watch, yes. And my ancestor slew the worm here, yes. But he made abs of the worm. Yes, well, what happens when you slice a worm in two? And indeed, guys, what happens?
Yeah, you got
Turns
two
into
worms.
That is the common misconception. That actually does not happen.
They move in herds.
They do move in herds. Don't be daft! Isn't it possible that something survived all of this time? Like a fucking dinosaur, something like that. In the water, that's possible, but a land-based animal, it would have been seen stalking its prey. Where's the map? Right here. Is it? Okay, and this is where you found the watch, and what's this over here? It says cave painting. Oh, it's nasty. It must have been a lavatory cave wall or something. It's disgusting. Ooh, I want to see. Angus takes him to see it, and it's a cave painting of stick figures, and they're ladies with boobs. But one of them has a big, erect penis.
Damn.
And he's like, good heavens. So they had women's lib even in those days. My guess is it's some sort of fertility symbol. Okay, let's get back to the girls. Are you satisfied? Well, I've heard of penis envy, but this is ridiculous. Half male, half female, like a hermaphrodite, or the common earthworm. Or even the Dampton worm. That would explain how it might survive over thousands of years, yes? Can I see the place where the watch was found? We searched it 100 times, and it was obviously dumped here. And you're dragging monsters into it. Next you'll say they were gobbled up in here by it, swallowed everything but the watch. Jesus, Angus! No, it swallowed the watch too, and passed it. Undigested. You're fucking crazy, man. You're off your rocker. Was there any poop nearby? Traces of excrement? No. It was found in a shallow spring with a narrow fissure in a rock fall above it. Well, let's go look. One final time while we're here, Yes? And they're all like, no, we want to go home. Eve decides to leave to go make tea for the guests while Mary stays with them. And they go potholing. That's what they call spelunking over there. Eve is walking through the woods of the grove, and she just hears, Eve, Eve. She looks up, and Lady Sylvia is up in a tree.
Oh.
And she's wearing a very smart scarf around her head with snake-like sunglasses on. Eve, I found a kitten up here, and I came up to get it, but now it's gone, and I can't get down. Will you help me? So Eve does, and she's like, you look tired, Eve, weary. Come with me to Temple House. And it's obvious now that Eve has just been hypnotized. And then it just cuts to naked Lady Sylvia laying in a tanning bed.
What the fuck is going on in this movie?
Am I right? She opens it up and she's like, your time has come, Eve. Disrobe. And then hypnotized Eve starts to do so. Do you believe in reincarnation, Eve? I do. Do you believe in reincarnation, Mike? I do. But then I am immortal, and I have seen the same souls inhabit different beings throughout history. I've seen you before, Eve. Many centuries ago in the time of my lover, the great Emperor Carausius. Yes, I could see you now on your knees, blindly worshipping a false god. Ha ha ha! Fancy praying to a god who was nailed to a wooden cross and locked up his brides in a convent. Poor little virgins, masturbating in the dark. Captive virgins in the hands of an impotent god. And then she holds up the giant bony spike from the mantle. Dionin will have none of that, Eve, as you should have learned when your order tried to build a convent over my sacred temple. Eve has now gotten down to just her shirt. That's enough. We don't want you to catch your death just yet. Come here. Dionin likes virgins, like your false god. Few are worthy of him. Those already sullied are merely offered to his voracious appetite. I wonder what your fate'll be, Eve. And then she sticks that spike in between her legs. Ah! Up the shirt. And Eve is like, ah! Oh, yes, you've been a good girl, Eve. You have the honor of being a sacrifice to Dionin alive. Now call your sister and tell her you're at Derby Central. Catching the next train to London because the strain is too much and you need a few days peace and quiet. Do it! Make it convincing! And so she does. And she just repeats everything that Lady Sylvia said, you know. And it's working. Mary is like, oh, okay, going to London, right. And then Eve, like, looks down at her little crucifix ring and it jars something within her and she's like, ah! Dionin! Dionin! And then Lady Sylvia looks up from the tanning bed and she's got the snake eyes and the fangs and she spits venom right into Eve's face and forces her to hang up the phone. I'm sure she just dropped the phone, but on the other end, Mary's like, hello? You know, it's gone. Anyway, she got that venom in her face again, like you do. Oof. So she gets a vision. So we see Eve, and she is a nun, and she is now impaled through the chest on a big phallic cock spike. Ooh. And, there's blood everywhere. Lady Sylvia, with her blue skin, is there. She's like licking the blood off of it and jacking it a little bit.
That's how I want to go.
Yeah, I always thought so.
That's my pleasure.
There are more nuns in the background suffering the same fate. And then Eve passes out, and it cuts to her three friends worried about her. Oh, that scream! Dionin! Why'd we leave her to walk home alone? She says she's at Derby Central. Shall I ring the station? I don't like to fuss. And it's like, what? No. We'd better call them. She may have had another attack. You see. Dionin. Where'd she pick that up, I wonder? Oh, she muttered that same thing upstairs yesterday. Dionin was a pig and snake god. And if you watch this movie with captions on, it says, Dionin was a pig and a snake god. That's what I wanted to say on my tombstone. Mary calls the station looking for Eve. She is not there. She goes and checks her room. See, she's not even packed, so she never even came home. Somebody's got her. I know it. You know, no such thing. Take it easy. And it's like, damn, Angus. Look, has she ever done this before or mentioned Dionin? Never. Then her disappearance could conceivably have something to do with this pagan god, yes. I'll call the police. If you've got something to say, say it, Hugh. You found a skull in the yard. Is it conceivable that it could have been the skull of a giant snake? It's possible. Okay. And before properly identified, it disappears, stolen. And on the same site, you uncover a mosaic of a giant snake dating from the Roman occupation, yes? Well, there could be a connection if that's what you're driving at. The Romans often assimilated ethnic religions into their own. The skull could have been venerated as a sacred object. Yeah, but what has this got to do with Eve? Quite a lot when you consider the hallucination. Aye, she saw a snake then, right enough. And the cross, don't forget that! She's quite religious, is Eve. So we have some kind of conflict going on here. And if Angus is right about that convent, the conflict is between Christianity and some early pagan cult, possibly involving human sacrifice. The cave drawing would indicate that, with boobs and a dick. Which way would Eve have walked home? Through the grove, of course, it's the only way. And why is Temple House so cold? Everyone knows that from school. It's the site of an old temple. Maybe that's the connection. You'll be saying there's a connection between all this and Ernie's snake bite next. Yes, and snakes and ladders. Whoa! Lady Sylvia Marsh. And then it just cuts to Dampton Hall. All right, and Hugh Grant is there with Peters. All right, sir, I've turned on the floodlights, my lord. The loudspeakers have been installed on the tower with the extension cable. The equipment has been tested, and everything appears to be in working order. Hugh's like looking through these old records of his old rich dad. Peters, I could swear that somewhere in the North Africa collection was a record that sounded, strikingly similar to something of a snake charmer. But all I can find is this one that it's labeled Turkish Charmers. And he plays it, and it's belly dancing music, and it gets Peters hot. He's like, oh, it certainly brings to mind one of the feminine gender your father encountered in Istanbul. She was a, how do you say, belly dancer? And he's like, you can see that he's hot. Yeah. And Hugh sees it too, and like smiles at him. Yeah, go on, Peters. Maybe try the B-side, my lord. So he does, and that's it. It's snake charmer shit. What do you think? I recall his lordship's very words. That would charm the Dampton worm itself from its hole, Peters. I remember it worked quite well with a king cobra, my lord. He was like, all right. Then put on your bicycle clips, Peters. I'm expecting company. And then he flips a switch, and these loudspeakers, huge ones on top of the mansion, just start blaring that shit out across the countryside.
Whoa.
And then we cut to the image that's most commonly seen on the poster of this movie. We see Lady Sylvia Marsh rise up out of a basket that she was obviously just sleeping in like a snake. And she gets up and does the Virgin's dance of seduction again, and right out of the house. She leaves and goes right past Angus and Mary, who are just hiding outside. So they just walk in, and in her hall, they see this bust of a Roman emperor. What the hell's this doing here? It's Marcus Carusius, the rebel emperor. Oh, it's just a Roman statue. Everybody has those. Nobody has him. It's the same one on the coins you found. Aye. And he certainly would have known about this pagan religion. He may even have been involved. But what's he doing in Lady Sylvia's hall? They sneak further in, and they find a taxidermed mongoose locked in battle with a cobra. I want one. It's pretty cool. It's a mongoose, traditional enemy of the snake. So Angus and Mary continue their burgling further into the temple house, and they find this room where there's some lady just sitting there watching a television in an otherwise empty room, and on the TV is just a lady belly dancing with a python. They come around and look at this lady. Mom!
Oh.
Yeah, it's Mary and Eve's mom, just sitting there, hypnotized, watching the TV.
Damn.
Mary runs to her, Mom! And then the lady just turns her head and goes, and bites her right in the neck.
Oh.
The mom gets up and comes for Angus. She's like all snaked out.
Yeah.
He picks up a fireplace log and he's waving it at her, scares her away. So now he's alone with Mary, who is now down for the count and paralyzed. She's just gotten a straight main line right into the neck. And she gets a vision of blue snakeskin Sylvia and other snake cultists all wearing pointy spike strap-ons.
Damn.
In this vision, they all start stabbing her with them in pelvic thrust motions. They are killing her with strap-on dildos.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck yeah.
I'm not making any of that up. Angus grabs her and just sucks the venom right out of her neck. Like right into his mouth.
Yeah.
But he's so smart, he like gets up and goes and spits it into a brandy glass. To save for later. He calls Hugh Grant, but he gets Peters. Yes, can you give him an urgent message? Yes, sir. Very good, sir. But Peters is just like sitting there eating crisps. Hugh walks in. What did he say? It's working like a charm. Take care. She's on her way. Great, 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 great. Go and open the front door and tell the maids to lock themselves in their rooms. Very well, my lord. This whole time, there's like going in the background. Okay, the music's still blaring. Mm-hmm. Hugh calls the police and he's like, yes, Dampton Hall. Yes, come now. And boom, the lights go out. And the music stops.
Like a blind man at an orgy, I was going to have to feel things out.
And then Peters, in the other room, you just hear, ah!
Oh.
And you're like, oh shit, this is scary.
Yeah.
And Hugh Grant is like, all right. He's looking around his room, and then he sees Sir John Dampton's sword on his mantle. Oh. And he picks it up, and a good thing too, because right then, the Butson mom starts flying through the air at him with her fangs bared and her snake eyes, going.
Damn.
And he's like, ooh, and it's all happening in slow motion now. He just swings the sword around and chops her in half.
All right.
Her two halves just go flipping away. But the sword is so heavy, and he is Hugh Grant. He continues to spin around and then loses balance and falls into his drums. And it is an amazing scene. But, he did it.
Yeah.
Like, he killed the snake lady. He gets up and he looks down at her. And this is his first time saying, oh, shit, it's the Butson mom. And the two halves are still alive, and they're, like, squirming to try to get to him.
Ooh.
He looks downstairs. Peters is dead. He also has a big snake bite in his neck. But, he didn't come back. He didn't vamp out because he fell down the fucking stairs. The lights come on and the phone rings. Hello? Yes, Angus, yes. Yes, it did work up to a point, yes. I got her, but not before she got Peters. You see. And it's not who we were expecting either. How did you guess? What? Oh my God, her own daughter! It just cuts to Angus at Butts and Wieners, and he's like, yes, I extracted the poison before it did any harm. She's resting now. But her poor mother, she was less fortunate. When the venom attacks the nervous system, the victim appears to be afflicted with a form of vampirism. And he's like, all out of breath, because you just saved this girl's life and you drank the poison and shit, spit it out into the glass. He's like drinking scotch now. Listen, if we're going to combat this thing, I need some more time for research. Are you all right up there on your own? Yes, perfectly. Carry on. I've got a few theories of my own to put into practice, yes. Yes, the music stopped. We've lost power. I expect it, it turned off automatically. Okay, if you insist, I'll check. He goes and looks at the record player, and the record's gone.
Oh.
Yes, thanks for the warning. I think we have another reptile loose on the premises. Yes, I'm fine. The police are on their way. You take care. Take care of Mary. And it cuts to Angus, and he's like, okay, bye. And he goes into Mary's room where she's like laying in bed crying. And he's like, Mary, your mother's at rest. And, he just told his girlfriend that her mom's dead.
Oh.
He really knows how to sweet talk him. It cuts to the morning, and there is Mary trying to deal with this gigantic bite in her neck. It's all scabby. Oh. She can hardly move it, and she's touching it, trying to wash it off, and decides, fuck it, I'll cover it with a gigantic Band-Aid. She walks outside, and Ernie is there in his little police car to pick her up to go identify her mom's body. He's like, yeah, we found the body at Dampton Hall. Hugh Grant, he's detained at the station. For questioning, because he might have been involved. Eve is missing. He's like, oh no. Well, come on. We can go to the station and you can call Angus later if you're worried. So they're driving and she's like, where are we going? This isn't the way to the station. We're picking up Lady Sylvia on the way. Because of allegations made by Hugh Grant, we're bringing her in for questioning. So they go to Temple House. Mm-hmm. He's like, are you coming in? She's like, no, I'll stay here. She sounded edgy on the phone. Seeing you will reassure her like. Right then, Mary sees a big Band-Aid of Ernie's own on his wrist. Mm-hmm. And she's like, nope. And then she throws the car door open, knocks him on his fat ass, and then she runs. She tries to get off the property, but the gate closes, so she's trapped. And she's running around, and he's chasing after her. She goes down some garden stairs, and she runs into another gate that has a big python on it. And she's like, she's scared of that. She turns around, and there's Ernie. And now Ernie has red snake eyes with fangs. And he's like, oh. And even his glass eye is red. And it's looking the other way. So now she's stuck. She's stuck between a snake and a Rancor keeper. And she's like, shit! And then in the distance, bagpipes are playing. And she's like, what? And even Ernie's like, and he looks off. And he runs off. And we see that on the property there is Angus, and he's decked out in his kilt and his plaids, and he's playing bagpipes.
Yay!
Oh yeah, right. Angus to the rescue. He's a fucking genius hero nerd. So Ernie and the python crawl out of the, the grates in the ground to come at him. And when Angus sees Ernie coming, he has to keep playing the bagpipes, but you can see that he's scared. He's running away. And Ernie just chases him because he's mesmerized by the music. They go around the back and there's this weird snake themed sundial. And Ernie once he gets to him, he doesn't attack him. He just stands there and sways back and forth like he's drunk. And he's got this big smile on his face and these fangs. It's creepy, man. Angus has to keep kind of dodging him while he's playing the bagpipes. It's a whole lot going on, and he finally fucks up. He's like, oh, God. And right then, Ernie attacks. They struggle for a while, and then Angus finally throws him backwards, and he is impaled through the back of the head on the sundial. And his real eye is sticking out. Hanging by the vein, Yeah. The connectors. And then it just cuts to Angus playing again, and he's just walking through the house trying to, bring out all the snake people that might be there.
Yeah.
Hey, he is a brave sumbitch, And there's nobody there. Nothing's happening. And he's just still playing the bagpipes, and he's got Ernie's blood all over his face, and he's just a stone-cold sumbitch. He finally stops playing, and he sits down on some stairs, looking across the room at this dark hallway that's covered by a curtain, and the curtain is blowing. So he, and we think this is probably the inner sanctum of the Snake Lady. And he sits down, and he pulls out a syringe and a vial, and he draws himself a shot of heroin, baby. And you're like, what? What's he doing? And then he injects himself. He's like, all right. And then out from his fucking plaids or whatever, he pulls out a mongoose, a live one.
What?
Yeah, he's got it. He brought a mongoose, and then he just lets it go, and it's and it runs into that dark doorway. Mm-hmm. And inside you just hear it. And then nothing. Angus gets up, He slowly approaches the curtain and he pulls it open and then whoom! The bloody mangled mongoose just hits him right in the face. And it falls on the floor. It knocks him down onto his back and then out pounces Lady Sylvia. Blue skin and all, like full snake lady mode. Mm-hmm. She gets down to his leg, looks at him and goes, and then bites right into his thigh. Ah! And then he starts going paralyzed. She stands, she smiles, licks his blood off of her, her fangs and her lips, and then pulls the earplugs out of her ears and starts laughing. Oh. And she just picks up, and then she just grabs his foot and drags him into the doorway and down the stairs into a big old dungeon under Temple House. In the dungeon, we see Mary is chained up to the wall, and there is this big hole in the middle of it, like a big well, and it's glowing. There's like green light coming out of it. Above it, in her white brawn panties, is Eve, tied up to be offered as a sacrifice. Lady Sylvia walks in and is holding the big skull. She holds it high up, and we see her seriously hairy armpits. It's like it'll wake you up in the morning. She places the skull down on some altar and then walks out again. Eve, who is tied up and hanging above the hole, hears something down in the hole. It's like bing, bang, bang, bong, bong. And then she hears Hugh. Yes, watch those cylinders. That gas is toxic. And she's like, what the hell's going on? And it cuts to Hugh, and he's walking into Stone Rick Cavern with a bunch of potholers. And they all got these big scuba tanks full of toxic gas and pumps. And he's like, be careful with the pumps. Now, gentlemen, it is my belief that there's some creature, probably of a carnivorous nature, in a subterranean chamber beneath us. Now, we're going to force the gas into the fissure of the rock fall and either gas the bugger or smoke him out. So since she can hear him down the well, obviously the two things are connected, right? Lady Sylvia walks back in, and she's like holding a wreath of flowers, and she's being all ceremonious. Oh, Dionin, who came forth from darkness, who dwelt in peace in the Garden of Eden. Dionin, who gave us the gift of knowledge. Dionin, who suffered the wrath of the false god, who was driven from Eden by the false god, who was trodden underfoot by the Son of Man, who returned to darkness. Dionin, whose kingdom is darkness, who makes safe our darkness. Dionin, who is darkness. Dionin the immortal, accept this, our sacrifice. And she puts the flower wreath on Eve's head. And then she just starts saying all that shit again. And we're like, Jesus.
This is a cool movie.
It is, man. I love this movie. So then we got Eve, and she's there in the brawn panties of one of the good guys. We're careful. Like, I want you to give her some brawn panties that are just the whitest white. Right? It'll contrast with the blue lady, okay? So the blue lady, Lady Sylvia, she's topless, and it's like, eh. She walks up the stairs to Eve, and she is wearing the big spike bone strap-on spike thing. Oh. And it's like, oh shit. Oh no. And Eve is like, accept this. And Lady Sylvia grabs Eve by the hips. And she's just about to start stuff when from down in the well, and everybody looks down there. Holy shit! And something deep down there starts moving around a little. And then there's this black fog rising up. No time for ceremony. I'm just gonna do this. And she pulls out a knife, and then she takes off the dildo and then cuts Eve's foot straps and pushes her out over the well. So now she's just hanging by her hands, by a rope. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we see down in the hole, finally, ladies and gentlemen, Dionin, the white worm. And it is gorgeous. This thing is so cool looking. And they made it big, too. Like, the lower jaw of it was made out of a Volkswagen Beetle hood.
Whoa.
Yeah. It's big. And its eyes are white. Its skin is all white. It looks all slimy and leathery, and its mouth is all blood red. It's got these huge teeth. It's fucking cool, you guys.
All right.
And it's just like slowly coming up the hole. So Lady Sylvia dangles Eve right over the hole for Dionin, okay? Eve's freaking out. She's scared. And then Lady Sylvia just starts cutting the rope to drop her into his mouth. And right about now, you're like, Lady Sylvia, she is a pagan priestess that gets things done. She's made it this long. This girl's about to fall. She has done good for Dionin.
Yeah, she did.
Mary's gagged and struggling. She looks down at Angus on the ground, who finally wakes up, and he's like, getting up. Yeah, okay. He runs up the steps, and he just pushes Sylvia into the well. Ah! But she grabs onto Eve's feet. So now that rope is seriously about to break. Dionin is real close now, like right there under Lady Sylvia. And he moves pretty slow, so you have to feed him. He's not going to come up and get it.
Yeah.
Angus pulls his own knife out, and he just starts sawing into Lady Sylvia's hand. The knife is not serrated, so it takes a long time. Lady Sylvia, she's looking down at Dionin. She knows what's happening. She is terrified herself now. She's screaming. Finally, she falls right into the mouth of the white worm, and then her hand falls. As well, follows her in. Angus pulls Eve to safety, and it's like, all right, you did it. But here, what I love is that Dionin is still coming, and slowly, roar. The girls are all screaming. Angus frees Mary, and he shoves them both, like, you go on, I'm going back. What are you doing, Angus? No. He pushes them, and run like hell. And then they run, and he turns back. He goes back to the well. And out of his sporin, you guys know what that is? Mm-hmm. Megan, I love it. What's a sporin?
It's like a little purse that goes with the kilt that hangs over a dude's junk.
Yeah. It's usually covered
they
in
don't have pockets.
Furry tassels, yeah. Obviously symbolic of the ball sack.
Yeah.
Pulls out a fucking hand grenade. Angus! My name is Angus. Gus to my pals. I can turn anything into an arsenal. He gets right down over the hole. Dionin, he's just like, right there. Ah, holy shit! And then Angus pulls the pin with his teeth, ladies and gentlemen, and drops it right down in there. He runs. Boom! There's this big explosion of fire and meat. All three run outside, coughing. And then Angus, he starts cooking up another shot of the shit that he had earlier, right? What are you doing? Just in case there's a scratch that gets infected by the venom, I had it analyzed. This is the antidote. And it's like, damn, Angus.
Right.
What if it doesn't work? Well, it worked on me all right. But by Jesus, it took its time. And then he injects Eve. I thought I was a goner. You two stay here. I'm going to phone for an ambulance. Okay. So he goes inside. And then it just cuts to Hugh Grant and his team walking out of the cave, Stone Rick Cavern. Mm-hmm. And off in the distance, they see this black plume of smoke. Where would you say that was, you see? It looks like it's over the grove somewhere. Do you think it could be over Temple House? Could be. So, what are we up to now? Do you know Divine Brown?
It's terrible! She has beautiful eyes and her hair smells like cinnamon!
Yes. Cuts to him pulling up at Butts and Wieners, and he sees Angus walking around all bloody and still in his kilt. And Hugh gets out of his car and he's like, just back from the Highland Games, huh? That fucking makes fun of him. You picked a fine time to go potholing. Well, now I've rather a taste for it. I might even go back tomorrow. With more smoke. Dynamite, I thought. I saved you the trouble. And then they both sit down together, and he's like, damn. I wanted to do a good deed like bold Sir John. You smoked out the worm and saved our skins. That should do you. And Angus starts drinking scotch out of his little flask, and Hugh lights a cigarette. And they both just sit there like Riggs and Murtaugh. Okay, at the end of this giant thing they did. And it is a perfect scene. But how'd you know it was there? The watch, you see, it proved that Temple House and Stonerick Cavern were connected. The rock fall that trapped the creature centuries ago turned out to be a refuge as well as a prison. It survived. Thanks to the likes of Lady Sylvia, whose final human sacrifice was herself. Well, that's real devotion for you. Yes, you see. Aye, she's gone for good now. And her final acolyte along with her. Poor Ernie. What, she got him too? He told Mary you were locked up at the police station. Well, that's a lie. I split before he arrived. The whole place was becoming a reptile house. Well, I suppose it's all going to take a bit of explaining. And he's smoking, they're both out of breath. Seems we've both a little explaining to do. Perhaps we should give ourselves up together. Well, yes, but after we've had a drink with the girls, don't you think? Where are they? In the local hospital by now. Hospital? Just a precaution. Don't be alarmed. And by Christ, have I got tale to tell you. I can hardly wait. And then inside Butts and Wieners, the phone rings. Hang on a minute. It might be the girls. Send them my love if it is, yes. Inside, Angus answers the phone. Yeah, Butts and Wieners. Angus Flint speaking. And then it just cuts to some laboratory. And there's this lady tech on the phone. It's like, oh, Mr. Flint, it's Derby Hospital Research Lab here. We've been ringing you for over an hour. Yes, well, no, there's been a silly mistake. It's my fault, really. Yes, you were given the wrong serum.
Oh, no.
Damn.
It's for arthritis.
Oh.
No, it's no good for snake bites at all, but, we won't be getting many of them this time of year, will we? And Angus, his face has gone totally white, and he just drops the phone.
Oh.
And he starts feeling his throat, feeling his nodes. And he's starting to panic. He walks over to the mirror, and you can see him inside his mouth, licking his teeth with his tongue. Mm-hmm. And he sticks his fingers in there, but we don't see anything. And he's just feeling his teeth, and his eyes are just fuck. He walks outside. Hugh is already in the car. Beep, beep. Come on now, slither in. Slither in? Angus gets in. And they drive off. And the movie is still not over. In the car. So, was it the hospital? Was it the girls? No, it wasn't the girls. Yes, well, look, I don't know about you, but I'm famished. Can we stop on the way for a bite? And Angus is just looking at him and kind of smiles and he goes, why not? And he was like, yes, right then. And he shifts the gear and accidentally pulls up Angus's kilt just a little bit. And it exposes this big gnarly bite wound on his leg. And, they're still driving and Hugh is just he looks down at it and then back at the road. And then, he looks back down at it and Angus is staring at him while he is staring at the bite wound. Mm-hmm. And then the credits roll.
Oh, damn.
And it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, John Tempton went fishing once, fishing in the air.
All right.
Yep.
Good job, Ron.
Thank you. There you have it. Lair of the White Worm on Movies with Ron.
Not Angus. Oh, he was such a great hero.
I know.
Bram Stoker, man.
It's really odd.
Yeah.
I know he was trying to play off Dracula a little bit.
Yeah, you stick with what you know. Fucking vampire story.
Yeah, that was his final story that he wrote. Mm-hmm. And I don't even think it was finished when he died. So I read the synopsis of the book and it sounds like it sucks.
But actually it was more of a cult story. And it always felt kind of Lovecraftian to me. I guess with the giant worm.
Sure.
And the pagan worshipping.
Absolutely. I love craft. Megan, first timer here in Duck Shit Studios. What did you think?
That was good. I feel like I need to watch the movie now. Also, you would say Dampton and then Hole, and I would just go Damp, Hole, Swampy Vagina.
I like her, Chris.
All right, folks. If you're on Apple Podcasts or iTunes, you like what you hear, leave us a rating and review. We'd love to hear from you. We're on all your other favorite podcast apps and movieswithron.com. We got a Facebook page. There's Twitter, @movieswithron. So check us out. All right, it's been fun.
See you guys.
Yep, we love you.
Bye.
Movies with Ron.
I have to go to the bathroom.
Going right past the altar, heading down the ramp and out the door.